Even as a small kid, all you ever wanted was to climb. Your little toes dangle off the edge of the wooden frame of your bunk bed. Your action figures are down below on the carpet, looking as small as ants. Seeing the world from this height is an adrenaline rush like no other. But soon you outgrow your bunk bed, and you return to the level the rest of the world is living on. To recapture the feeling, you ride your bike to the park, where you climb the tallest slide and sit perched at its peak. The feeling of the bunk bed comes back to you. Up here, you're closer to the stars and further from your homework. You think, I'm never going back down. But soon there is a line of children on the slide's ladder barking at you, calling you a scaredy cat, telling you to hurry up already. A hand presses into your back and pushes you forward. Your small body tumbles down the slide. Just like that, your feet are in the sand. You're at the same altitude as everyone else, no longer special in your elevation. But you're not done. You're determined to go elsewhere and upward. You start climbing trees. First, just small ones with bumpy bark for your feet to use like rungs on a ladder. It feels good up there, but soon you notice you're not alone. You're sharing the space with squirrels and caterpillars. It's not that you're afraid of these little creatures, but you want to go to a height few else ever had. You move on to a larger tree. This one, you even need tools to climb. You lasso a rope around a branch and pull yourself up. To get even higher, you wear wide receiver gloves banned by the NFL, so that your hands are sticky enough to grip even the smallest protrusions of bark. Soon you reach the top. Now at the highest sturdy branch of the largest tree, you look down at the world and see it in perfect order. You up here, them down there. It is beautiful. But then, a noise. A noise too loud to have come from below. Next to you, you see a bird. It smugly smirks at you and flaps its wings and flies higher, one-upping your accomplishment. It lands on a tiny branch above you, reaching the actual tippy top that you couldn't reach. And it's then you realize that the feeling you're chasing isn't just so that you can look down on the earth and scoff, but so you can look up at the world and wonder. So you spend your life with your chin to the sky, feet following your gaze. Everything you do, every action you take, is in the name of elevation. You chose a career in being a union lineman. You work the night shifts, climbing up telephone poles. You're happiest farthest from the ground. Every November you vacation to New York, where you run up the Empire State Building just to taste new heights. You summit 86 flights, 1,576 stairs, but no matter what extremes you go to, you feel like there is something up there still out of reach, waiting for you. There is only one thing that will satisfy you: Mount Everest. If you can just reach the summit, you promise yourself, your wife, your God, and your family that you'll stop straining your neck upward, that you'll enjoy what is in plain sight, that you'll settle down and live the life that's right there in front of you. You begin to study for your 2-month climb. You learn about the sub-zero temperatures. You learn about the journey's physical demands on your body. You learn about navigation, communication, and preparation. But what you don't learn about, or rather can't learn about, is the anomaly that awaits you. Unfortunately, some lessons are omitted from books, left to be learned only by experience. And by that time, I'm afraid it'll be much too late in the lecture to get a passing grade. The day comes and you begin your mission to the mountain's peak. There's something otherworldly about it. The way you move up this mountain, it isn't just a matter of labor. There's a spirituality within the journey. You feel as if you're floating, being pushed toward the heavens by some generous being behind you. But what is it that actually pushes you upward? Could it be as simple an answer as willpower, determination, skill? No, you felt those before. And while they have surely powered many men to do great things, this force is different. It is not so much that it is pushing you forward. It is more like it is pulling you up, or rather, luring you in. You're amazed at how effortless the journey is. At least it is up until now. Upon reaching the 8,000-meter mark, also known as the death zone, you begin to feel uneasy. No longer is each step light and graceful. Now it feels like your boots are filled with cement. You could swear your backpack is full of bricks. For a moment, you think you have lost your beanie and gloves because your ears and fingers are ice cold. The journey suddenly becomes long and grueling, dangerous and difficult. You use every muscle in your body to climb this thing. You have to. You use every bit of mental concentration just to keep moving. You have to. But why? Why now? Could it be as simple an answer as exhaustion? Accumulated fatigue? How could it be? You've prepared as much as humanly possible, not just in your training, but in your life. You were meant for this moment. But now the moment is refusing your embrace. Nothing you could have done could have prepared you for this. An amorphous feeling settles into your gut. You don't understand it entirely, but you anticipate something bad is about to happen, and it is at this moment that you wish you wouldn't have traveled alone. You wish you had a partner to reassure you that everything would be okay. You wish you had someone a few steps in front encouraging you forward. You stop and stare ahead and imagine it. You imagine a friend to struggle with, to laugh with, to succeed with, and then suddenly, you don't have to imagine any longer. You see someone, but how? Last you heard, you were the only one to be traveling this way. Could it be an illusion? You squint harder and harder, trying to make sense of what you're actually seeing. A human, or at least a human-like thing. It is wearing all white mountaineering clothes and boots. There is something about the clothes and boots that makes you think they might not even be clothes or boots at all, but more like an extension of flesh. Although they appear to be made of traditional clothing materials, they seem to be one with the figure's body. And the figure's body seems to be one with the mountain. While you are on a mountain thousands of miles away from your family, this thing is at home. But what is it? You squint through specks of snow splashing across your vision. It seems about average human height and average human weight. Could it be simply an average-sized human? You want to make this conclusion with your mind, but your eyes won't let you. At this distance, it is still just a figure. But as he approaches you, and the possibility of a companion sinks in, you become more optimistic, and you think maybe this figure can be a friend. Little do you know, you have just met a mountain climber's biggest foe. Meet SCP-1529. You notice its black goggles, and then strangely enough, you can't stop noticing them. You find it impossible to break eye contact with. You are physically unable to turn away. Not only that, but you do not have any desire to turn away either. You are drawn into its gaze, and you are happy to be there. For the first time in your entire life, you are content with where you are at. You no longer care about climbing Mount Everest. You strive no longer for great physical or metaphorical heights. You are more than okay with where you are at right here, right now. And now you begin to feel very warm and comfortable, and you have a sudden urge to sit down and relax for a while. The unhurried pace of your movements matches the stone swaying seen at a reggae concert. You sit down and rock back and forth. You are at peace in this idleness, almost in a sedated state of consciousness. You misinterpret the signs of this dangerous anomaly as a sign of personal growth. You believe wholeheartedly that this is who you are now, and that this is who you are always meant to be. With newfound peace, you settle into the snow. You embrace the moment, and that's when it gets even worse. SCP-1529 moves towards you, navigating the mountain with ease, using just his hands and feet, no gear needed. As its arrival looms, there is nothing you can do but wait. But what exactly are you waiting for? What's going on? Where did this thing come from? Well, you wouldn't be the first to ask. L, the subject of Incident 1529-1, questioned this himself. L was reportedly killed during an encounter with SCP-1529 when it abruptly became active shortly after he had reached the mountain's summit. However, L was eventually found alive when another team reached his position nearly 2 days later and removed him safely from the mountain. He required fingertip and toe amputations due to frostbite, but otherwise made a full recovery. While still in the hospital, an agent of the Foundation was able to ask him questions and figure out what he had experienced. It was a difficult time for L, but it was an exciting time for the Foundation. From what they previously understood of SCP-1529, they never thought they would hear the truth straight from the victim's mouth. Until then, it was only ever told through their autopsy. L was on his way down the mountain. He was proud and excited, having reached the top and accomplished his life's goal. but he understood the trek back was no easier, and that if he didn't stay focused, he would end up dead like so many others. He noticed his hood was off, and he stopped to adjust it. No big deal, just a quick fix. Little did El know it would lead to such hardships. During his wardrobe malfunction, his group made their way about 6 meters ahead of him, and it was then, standing in his newfound loneliness, that he saw SCP-1529 coming over the ridge. El was a jovial fellow. His impulse wasn't to fear the figure. Instead, he shouted and waved, assuming the figure to be another climber left behind by his mates. Suddenly, it looked right at him, and that's when it started to happen. El felt happy and relieved. It was like all the pain and the soreness and the chill were gone. No longer did he have blisters on his feet. He could feel his toes again. It was like he was back home in front of the fireplace. It was as if the journey was complete, and his efforts had been rewarded. El no longer minded the mission back down. He felt perfectly fine where he was, but even still, while his body was content, his gut didn't trust the feeling. Something was off. Why would El go all this way only to become complacent? He kept thinking. He kept fighting the urges to relax, to succumb to supposed feelings of warmth. He knew the stories of men who felt similar misleading sensations. When your body starts to cool down to an extreme degree, your blood vessels dilate, and you start to feel like you're actually warming up. In these instances, people often tear off their clothes because they feel like they are burning up and need to cool down. Next thing they know, they're naked and frozen to death. El would not go like that. He had too much pride. He tried to shrug off the feelings of warmth, but before he even could, it was stripped from him. As SCP-1529 got closer, suddenly, all of the heat and comfort El had experienced was gone. He was cold, colder than he had ever been before. His fingers and face no longer had feeling. His lips peeled, snapped, and cracked. They were frozen. His legs cramped up. He buckled at the knees and dropped into the snow. He tried to yell for help, but all that came out was a soft and pathetic whimper. SCP-1529 grabbed El's shoulders and pulled him towards his face. El looked into his goggles, having no other choice. He saw images in the lenses, and suddenly it was as if El was watching a film, or rather brief vignettes. He saw people in hot tubs relaxing, a woman curled up by an open fire, a couple sunbathing on the beach. El recognized all these warm and happy people. They were people he had seen on the way up the mountain, but not the way down. It only took a moment for El to realize they were people who had fallen to SCP-1529. It was then El knew he had to resist, but SCP-1529 doesn't take well to defiance. The images in the goggles changed from happy to horror. The same people were now laying in the snow, half dead. El couldn't manage to look at it for another second. He balled his fist with whatever strength God was willing to lend him. He tried to strike SCP-1529 in the goggles. His arms moved slowly at first, like punching in a dream. It was moving as if the air it traveled through was thick jello. Suddenly, it snapped into full speed and drilled SCP-1529 square in the center of his goggles, ultimately leading to El's rescue. But this is no princess movie. Not everyone is so lucky to be rescued. This brings us back to you. Yes, you. Wait, you didn't think that brief deviation from second person would last forever, did you? So where were we? Or should I say, where were you? Oh yes, you're sitting in the snow patiently waiting for SCP-1529 to kill you. And as you wait for its arrival, you think back to the survival lessons that El taught you. Now you can see why I suddenly changed to third person earlier. So you're thinking of El and how he punched SCP-1529, and you're thinking you'll do the same. But what you can learn from El, so SCP-1529 may have learned as well. Would such a threatening creature ever be defeated in the same way twice? You notice that its goggles have been repaired, and you intend on cracking them open like an egg. But your fist won't close, your arm won't raise. You keep trying to start up your strength like an old pickup truck. Nothing. Your luck eludes you. You feel helpless. And so you sit in the snow and wait. You can't ball up your fingers into fists, but you can bring one palm to the other and pray. You pray for help from your God above. Your prayers, however, are misguided. Yes, there is help above, but it's not a God that's watching over you, but rather the Foundation's aerial surveillance, a well-oiled system of spyware born out of necessity, designed after the incident known as SCP-1529-2. SCP-1529-2 occurred when an agent located in a permanent facility in China observed SCP-1529 through a telescope while it was active near the summit of the mountain. That day, SCP-1529 looked directly into the telescope. The agent immediately reported symptoms consistent with an SCP-1529 encounter and reported that SCP-1529 had begun descending the mountain in the direction of the permanent facility. Similar to the stories on the mountain, the agent too was unable to pull himself away from the telescope. After 17 minutes under the spell of SCP-1529, he was rushed to the facility sickbay and found to have signs of frostbite in the fingers and toes, despite having remained indoors for the duration of the encounter. The Foundation then had to rethink its approach to surveilling SCP-1529. When SCP-1529 is active, surveillance is now conducted by means of an automated telescope with a video feed playing at 7 seconds delay to avoid a repeat incident of Incident 1529-2 when necessary and safe. Additional observation is done by way of helicopter and airplane. Furthermore, the bodies of any hikers who encounter SCP-1529 are removed from the mountain as soon as possible for autopsy and disposal. The Foundation attributes all SCP-1529 related casualties to natural causes relating to altitude sickness and hypothermia. Any survivors or witnesses are debriefed and administered a Class B amnestic. And for even further safety measures, Mobile Task Force Psi-29029, also known as Alpine Echo, remains on standby at all times at the Foundation monitoring station, in a pressurized environment acclimatized to 7,900 meters above sea level. In the event that a recurrence of Incident 1529-1 occurs, Alpine Echo deploys to the mountain by helicopter. And so, by the grace of the Foundation, you will be saved. Although sitting helplessly in the snow, you may feel your current state of existence can be best described by the phrase, dead meat. You are more than likely to be saved than slaughtered. Even still, there is no comfort in the future. On the mountain, right here, right now, you are looking up and locking eyes with SCP-1529. Your whole life has come to this moment. All you ever wanted as a child was to climb the highest heights. Aspiring upward has brought you so many good things: adventures, financial stability, respect. Everything you have in your life is from the simple fact that you did not settle for what you had, but strived for what was above you. But now, this same impulse has gotten you in a world of trouble. Had you just looked at where you were instead of where you wanted to be, you would have been okay. If you had just felt the snow beneath your feet, you would have been okay. But instead, you looked up, how you always did. You looked up toward the goal and away from the present, and look where it has led you. The message of this story is clear, but if for some reason we resist the lesson passed down from one generation of thinkers to the next, SCP-1529 is out there, waiting for us to turn over our shoulder and look back, or tilt our chin and look up. And at that point, it will force the moral on you again, giving you no other option but to experience its wrath, right here, right now. Now go check out Frozen Bodies on Everest Are Alive, SCP-5140, and SCP-096 Killed My Friend for more high-altitude horrors.